in essence, are in competition over a period of time with each other. How, as the next generation of leaders, are you going to create that competitive edge in your organization, in your countries? How are you going to do that? This is how you do it. You see this? This is when I was at Boeing. This is the 737 production facility in Renton, Washington. And I think I've shown you this before. Right?
Yeah.
This is this thing right here, fuselage. You go in, you go in, you go in, you go in, you go in. And eventually when you see the lake on the other side, when you go through that process, your plane is done. 2 days to 3 days for a plane to be done. Okay? 2 days to 3 days for a plane to be done. You should ask yourself the question, can a plane that has 30 miles or 50 miles of wiring that needs to be installed and everything else that needs to be installed, how is that plane capable of being produced in 2 to 3 days? My question to you is, this is your patient. This is your patient. Tell me, this patient has come to you just like this patient has come to the doctor. This patient has come to you. I don't want you to tell me what you see. I want you to interpret from what you have learned what is wrong with the system. Tell me, how would you, this patient is to you, and you say, I want to fix it. Tell me how to fix it. Come on, come on, come on. Don't tell me you're a bad doctor. What are you going to say?
Want this flow.
I believe Boeing at that time, or even now, has 4 years or 5 years backlog of planes that they have sold that they cannot produce. So we know that what is the constraint? Okay. I am going to make an assumption at this moment that the shop floor is the constraint. Do you see that? Now, I want you to tell me what is the problem?
Oh,
Flow.
There are a lot of planes in the same,
Hmm?
a lot of planes in the, it seems that are, you can lose and stay with.
Ah, don't say that. It hurts my feelings.
Like, one piece flow, just align, layout, design layout.
You believe that the production line in itself, as it's going through, is a critical path? You believe that to solve that critical path, which one is the first cut that you want to take?
flow.
Why?
Because everything is like everywhere, not very organized.
Why?
Because they don't have a lot of space.
Because the time is too long, 2 to 3 days. Can't reduce them.
Because even though you look at those planes, every plane is very, very different. It's a 737 plane. But if you look at the specifications on that plane in terms of assembling that plane, these are very, very different. Are we okay? Why are they different?
because they have different customers for
So
different
watch this.
requirements.
Generally speaking, again, I want you to see the creation, a little bit of difficulty in what I told you. The steps are pretty much the same, are they not? What is different between each plane? So, the problem is that I have a tremendous amount of variation that exists in that thing. The flow, I know. I know the flow. I want to be able to control this variation. Control, is that not variation? I want to design a system that allows me to control that variation. You see, this is what I want you to talk to me about. I don't, when you go to a company, I don't want you to say this or this or this. I want you to say, let me tell you, I looked at it, I believe the process is the same, but the process time, because of the plane differences, is tremendous. That creates this issue. The issue is that if a plane sitting over here waits a tremendous amount of time, yes?
Just press.
What happens to this plane?
Right.
It waits, okay. Now, let's assume 5 planes in front is taking too much time because this is a very complicated plane, okay? If that is the case, because that does not move, what happens to this, and this?
Can wait.
Everything waits, stops. To some extent, is it not like Denso? That I'm going boom, 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 all of a sudden one stops. Because of variation, everything else behind stops. Yes or no? You see, I don't want you to say things like it is waste, and this is this, and this is, because everybody in the world does that. I want you to tell me surgically how you would solve that problem. So what should your problem be? How can I take care of the variation? Tell me how I can take care of the variation. Come on, come on. Design for me the system. Take 2 minutes and draw me a picture. Draw me a picture of what you're thinking. See, this is where your intellectual capability is coming in, yes? You want to cheat? Say yes. Say yes.
No. First. Complete bem.
There is your solution. The solution takes care of. Did I say that? I said your focus is in one area, yes? That does not mean that you cannot touch this or touch this. Your focus, where's my focus here? Variation. I impacted this. I believe I've impacted this, and I've impacted this. But where is my focus? My focus is on variation. And describe to me what the system does. And how does it take care of variation?
Snapshot.
Come on, come on, come on. Tell me. You see, now we have identified variation. Now, before I solve the problem, I have to come up with an idea of what I want to do. Yes? What is the variation in? The process time. Why? Because certain planes want to have 52 seats in them. Other planes want to have 100 seats in them. Some people have to have this kind of air conditioning. Some people want this kind of air conditioning. Some people want this kind of navigation system. Some people want this kind of navigation system. So everything in here, depending upon what you want, is going to create what? Difference in processing time. Yes? How do I take this variation in processing time and design? Now, I'm going to show you this, and I want you to connect the two ideas. This is a plane. From the outside, it looks the same. how you know their difference and who's their customer is they always paint the wing. Not the wing, what is it called? The tail. And therefore you know which airline and which country has bought this airplane. Based on your customer, it has very specific specifications. If I remember this correctly, and I don't know, every Chinese plane had to have a number 8. Somehow incorporated into the number was 8. So that had to be incorporated into 8. Other planes didn't, and other planes had other specifications. So this plane is different than that plane. Now, let me explain what's going on. This, you see this right here? Okay. This is pulling the plane. You can barely see it, but it is pulling it at a very, very, very slow rate. From this station to this station is the time allocated for you to be able to finish that job. Allocated to finish that job. And what happens is the paradigm has shifted where all the resources go to the plane rather than plane coming to the resources. How do you think, using this structure, they minimize the impact of variation? Tell me.
Because they don't have the same time.
They don't have the same time. Let me tell you what they have. Here to here, the number of people allocated to the plane changes based on the requirement. So if the plane has 50 seats and the other plane has 100 seats, the number of people allocated to the 100 seats is twice as much as the other. By using a one-piece flow that has a fixed rate, they have allocated different people differently for every plane. So that what did they do by doing this? 50 seats, 100 seats. Before, if I did it, it would be twice the amount. Now, what is it? Same. Let me give you one more example. Many, many years ago, I was in a company, I think it was Kenworth. Kenworth makes, you know, these big trucks. So we were looking at their processes to design their processes. And if you know Kenworth, it's exactly the same concept. Not the trailer, but what's the front? What's the front called? The cabin. Did you know that each cabin is very different? It can have just 2 seats, or actually it can have a little living room and a bedroom in the back. Okay. They use the same concept. They had a chain that pulled this thing, and when it came to the assembly of the cabin, they looked at what was on the thing. They said, cabin number so-and-so. Okay, that means it's very easy. 2 people would jump into the cabin and go boop, boop, boop. There was a cabin that was more difficult, 4 people would jump in. So by the time it is, so I controlled my variation, not by anything else, but by single piece flow, managed by what? People. Now, the question, the reason I brought this up is, what is the resource that you have back home that's easily available right now? People. Is people the only solution? Every solution is different. This problem could be solved by many different types of medication. Okay? Where do you go? Ryan, am I doing something wrong, Ryan? This is a problem. First you have to diagnose it. What's the problem? Tell me, what was the problem?
Low.
Variation. Variation caused by what? Variation in the process time caused by the variation in the plane or the inside of the plane. Now that you know what the problem is, give me the solution. I gave you one solution. You give me another solution. One medication is this. What is the second medication?
Schedule.
Very good. Now, I still have to deliver the thing. But I don't have to change my resources from plane to plane. What if I schedule similar parts, similar airplanes next to each other? Or I could actually have a variety of big, small, big, small, big, small, so I can balance the amount. I can control it through scheduling. Can I control it through automation? Yes. So I can control variation through people. I can control it through process design. I can control it through automation. I have a variety of different solutions to control the problem, but the first thing that I have to do is to solve this problem and to understand what's going on. Yes? Are we still okay? Is this helping? Even if it's not, say yes. Is it helping you? Yeah. Are you sure? You're still not over the running up and down the steps? Now, are we okay? Do you see how we solve the problem? Every single thing that comes in front of you is a patient. Now, tell me, I'm going to take you very quickly before lunch, okay? I want to talk a little bit more specifically, now that we know how to look at it. What is this? What is this? What is this? And what is this? What is it? What is it? It's okay to say variation or flow, but what is it? Tell me, what do you know about flow? You learn things. It's not everything, but you learn something from the Lego exercise. What do you do? You did something. I'm not sure what you did.
Change the flow.
Hmm?
Change the flow.
But how? See, now, I know which one to select. Now, I want to give you some ideas. I want to give you some ideas so that you can have some tools and equations to support you. We went through Little's law the other day. What did Little's law tell you of the equations that we used? What did it tell you about flow? What is one or two or three concepts of flow that you have to look at? And let me go do this for you so you remember. Remember this? Say yes. Even if you don't. No. What did this say to you? Remember this best case?
The worst case.
Remember the worst case? Say yes. And if I have all of these, a slide. There's one slide that has all of these. Now, this, and you see all the slides with all these equations? We didn't cover all of them, we covered half. But those half of the equations that we covered lead me to believe that this flow, you see this flow? This flow. We're not talking about this, we're not talking about this, we're not talking about this, we're talking about flow. That flow
has the best and the worst. Do you see that? The best and the worst. How do you determine the best and the worst? Tell me. See, one can talk about it, but one has to support it. What was best? How do we determine best?
Balance at line.
Minimum. Minimum width, minimum cycle time, maximum throughput. Do you remember that? When I put a level of inventory, 4 in our case, when I put 4 inventory, what happened to my cycle time? Cycle time was this, my throughput was this. So I have a critical inventory level that dictates to me what? That my cycle time will not increase anymore, but my throughput will. Yes or no? Do you remember that?
How do you determine the difference between the good region and the bad one?
The back one?
Yes. What is the difference? How do you determine it?
It's a very good question, which everybody should know. Come sit here. Come sit. Ask the question from your fellow surgeons. Because see, they have to now do the surgery. They have cut. And they think that they're making the flow cut. Now I have to open the body and I have to fix it. And I look in it and I know what is the best way that this body is functioning and what it would be the worst case that the body is functioning. And I expect the body, when I open the body up, to be somewhere between theoretical best and theoretical worst. Theoretical best is what? Is determined by what? Minimum width, maximum throughput. So I keep my width level down, maximum throughput. His question is, what is the worst case? When I open the body and I say, oh my God, I can't fix this. This person is going to die. How would you know that this person is dying? He has a question.
A lot of inventory.
Huh?
A lot of inventory.
That's what we'll buy you. I want to show you. 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. Best case, best case. Hold on, stop. No, do it faster. Don't pick it up. Pick it. One, just pick one. There you go, everybody else, there you go. Get Yeah, but this was not 1 second. You keep that, you keep one. Hold on, have one in your hand. What do you see? For the system, if it was perfect, and these people are not perfect, if they were perfectly doing it, what is the level of inventory in the system? 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yes? Correct? So if I have a balanced line, watch this, balanced line, single piece flow, condition 1, balanced line. Is my picture of Boeing balanced? Yes, because I balanced it with people. Is it a single piece flow? How many number of planes are in the inventory? Based on the number of stations. That is the perfect condition. Assuming no variation, this is on all of these what I told you. balance, single piece flow. All that kind of stuff is part of what? Flow. It also assumes no variation, no disruption, and people are nice. That's the best case. Watch this now. Give me all those pictures. You see, I'm going to show you the difference. Now, we're going to do still, just do it at 2 or 3 seconds so it's kind of balanced, all right? Are we okay? So you can do only one at a time. One at a time. You can only do one at a time. Pick it up, hold it for 2 seconds, and then pass it to the other person, right? Watch this. You stop, disruption, you do it in 10 seconds, okay? And you do whatever you want. What's this? How much inventory is in the system? Stop, everybody stop. How much inventory is in the system? Go count. Go count. $29. Now, not from a surgeon's perspective, what is wrong with this system? First, is it one-piece flow? No, because I changed the times. Is it balanced? No. It's not balanced. Is it batched? Did I batch it? I batched it. Remember I said, yeah. I batched it. Single piece flow? No. It's batched. Is it balanced? I said, no, it's not balanced. I changed the times on this, right? And I gave him, I think, 4 at a time. 4 at a time. It has variation. Who had variation? Do whatever you want to do. Okay? Who had disruptions? You had disruption. What is now the root cause? This is the worst case. What causes the worst case? No balance. More information batching. 4 at a time. Not based on their capacity, just throwing 4 at a time. And he just put 1 at a time. But what if he had done this 4 at a time? And he had come and done 4 at a time. Okay? Now we're batching it. It goes to Lego exercise number 1. Is there variation? Say yes. Is there disruption? Say yes. Do I have balance? Do I'm batching things? If I batch it on a fixed number, I do not have balance, I have variation, I have disruption, that is the worst case. Yes? Your systems. Now I'm asking them, ask them. I'll ask you, you ask them. In your system that you are looking at, that you're fixing in your project, is it the best case?